Thank you for logging on to toss50.com, the other side of 50. I'm David Schwartz, and we are here. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I've been an attorney and a former prosecutor for 15 years, and we're here to interview legendary criminal defense attorney Ike Sorkin, the attorney who is most known today for representing Bernie Madoff. People want to know, how could you represent that guy?
Well, you know, it's really an easy answer. I always like to say that John Adams, our second president, represented British soldiers who fired on colonists. It did make him a very popular guy in those days. But defense lawyers have always represented the despised, the vilified, the lowest level of society. And in so doing, by defending people who do bad things, we protect people who don't do bad things. Because the same rights that apply to the innocent will apply to the guilty. The same rights that apply to people who are charged but didn't do a bad thing apply to the people who are charged who did do bad things. And by applying the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to everyone across the board, you protect everyone. That's how you represent people who are alleged to have done bad things and who, in fact, are guilty of doing bad things.
When you think of a plea bargain, most people think that you're, for economy and efficiency, and the courts need to run through plea bargains. Very few cases go to trial. You get something out of it. Lots of people are wondering what Bernie Madoff got with 150 years in jail.
What he got was closure. What he got was a settlement with the U.S. Attorney's Office that allowed his wife to keep $2.5 million. There was a negotiation that took place, and a resolution was had at that level. And quite frankly, there's something to be said for closure. There's something to be said for not letting this drag on for years and keeping the sons, the brother, the niece, the wife in the public spotlight for so long. So there's an emotional issue that one has to deal with as a defense lawyer, as well as the legal issues.
Was there something inside you as a known fighter for your clients? Did you want to go to trial on this case?
He had confessed to his sons and to the FBI before I ever spoke to him. The way it played out, he had on December 10th admitted what he had done to his sons. His sons went down immediately with an attorney to the regulators, the SEC and the U.S. Attorney's Office. They swore out an arrest warrant. When the agents came to his apartment on the morning of December 11th, they asked him, is there an innocent explanation? He said, no, it's all a fraud. And he was then arrested. And by the time I was in Washington, D.C. at the time, by the time I got back, the SEC had locked down his office. FBI agents were crawling all over the place, taking records. There are certain advantages to closure. And some cases are just not winnable cases. And the feeding frenzy that took place over the period of time, this approximately 6-month period of time, ended. Had he not done what had he not confessed and agreed to plead guilty, we'd still be splashed all over the papers. His wife would be the subject of pictures in the New York Post mocking her. She'd be followed all over the street. His children would be harassed. There's some advantage to putting an end to that. And he recognized that.
And you've been pretty outspoken on the ultimate sentence that the judge handed down, 150 years. That is, the sentence is being appealed.
No, it's not being appealed. Again, he's 71. He was 71 years old at the time of the sentence. The argument could be made that the 150 years was excessive and unreasonable, and let us assume we knock it down to 100 years. He's not going to get out of jail at the age of 171.
Right.
Okay? And again, the appeal would, again, keep it in the spotlight.
Sure. So how's he doing right now?
He's doing okay. I saw him about a month ago, and he's doing fine.
Where is he now?
He's at a place called Butner in Butner, North Carolina. There's a federal correctional facility down there. It has a very good medical facility. It's a medium 1 security prison. And I think, quite candidly, when he confessed, he knew he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And that was a given.
Now, many of the victims of this Ponzi scheme are your neighbors or people in the community in which you live. In fact, you probably know many of the people that have been hurt by him personally. How do you strike that balance?
It's difficult, but when people ask me how can you represent them, I say, suppose I was an emergency room doctor, and he was. He had a heart attack, or he was in an automobile accident, and he was wheeled into the emergency room. And someone said, "That's Bernie Madoff." I don't think there's a nurse or doctor in there who would say, "Oh, we can't treat him. He's a bad guy." It just doesn't work that way. That's not the way the system works. If you recall a little bit of history, Harvey Mudd, who was the doctor who treated Abraham Lincoln, was vilified who treated John Wilkes Booth, was vilified for years because Booth was injured after he assassinated Lincoln. He was vilified, but a doctor took an oath, and I think only in the last 10 or 20 years has his name, the criticism of him he's been absolved. It's troublesome, but I had a job to do, and I had a responsibility to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and to do what I do. And it's unfortunate that people I do know did suffer losses.
How do you want to be remembered as an attorney?
I haven't even thought about that.
But, the likelihood, or people know you now as Bernie Madoff's lawyer. Obviously, you've had such a rich career before you even represented Bernie Madoff. Does that bother you at all, that people will probably remember you as Bernie Madoff's lawyer?
No, I would do it again. I mean, look.
As opposed to a lot of the other things that you've done in your career.
Look, no. You look at, Clarence Darrow represented Leopold and Loeb, who at the time were as despised as any two individuals on the face of the earth. Edward Benno Williams, a great trial lawyer, represented Vito Genovese, who was alleged to have been head of the family that introduced heroin into the United States. Okay, and he represented Jimmy Hoffa. We represent people who do bad things, and if people want to remember me as the guy who represented Bernie Madoff, that's fine.
So, in conclusion, where do you want to see yourself go from here? What's next for you?
What's next for me? Just continue doing what I'm doing. I don't have any great aspirations other than to do what I'm doing.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Nice to see you.